I've never liked driving alone at night, but that night I wasn't alone. Mason, my best friend since 5th grade, had insisted I get out of the house. Ever since my dad died 6 months ago, silence at home felt heavier, like it was pressing down on me from every corner. I'd been sleeping less, wandering the empty streets, chasing some restless energy I didn't fully understand. Mason had always been the one to drag me out, to remind me the world didn't end with my father's passing. We left the town of Franklin Ridge well past midnight, my old '03 Dodge Ram grumbling over the cracked asphalt. The highway was empty, the kind of emptiness that makes every little sound feel magnified. The fog rolled in from the surrounding woods, drifting across the road like smoke from a hidden fire. My headlights barely cut through it, illuminating twisted trees that reached overhead like skeletal fingers. Mason leaned forward, elbows resting on the dashboard, peering into the mist. "Man, this road looks straight out of a horror movie," he said. His voice was light, trying to laugh, but the tension in his shoulders betrayed him. "Yeah," I said, tightening my grip on the wheel. "That's exactly why we're here." We weren't looking for trouble, not really. Just a cheap adventure. We'd been drifting through the town streets after our bowling league, looking for something to do, and the locals had whispered about a roadside motel a few miles down the old dirt road. Hollow Pine Motel, they said. Too quiet for trouble, they claimed. But too quiet has always been the first warning sign in every horror story I've ever read, every scary movie I'd ever watched, and yet here I was, chasing it. The road narrowed, winding through the dense woods, the fog thickening until I could barely see 100 feet ahead. Branches scraped against the truck like claws. And then finally a flicker through the haze. The motel sign. Hollow Pine Motel. The letters buzzed weakly, neon red light spilling over peeling paint and warped wooden siding. Mason laughed nervously. "There it is, the creepiest spot in the county," he said. I forced a grin, hiding my unease. Just the way we like it. We didn't know it then, but the night was about to get far stranger. Hollow Pine Motel sat like it had been abandoned decades ago. 6 single-story rooms lined the cracked parking lot. The sign buzzed intermittently, throwing red flashes over the warped wooden siding. One porch light burned at the far end, and beneath it, a man stood. Tall, still, and silent, like a shadow carved out of the night itself. Mason nudged me. "Dude, he's not even blinking." I swallowed hard. I wanted to shrug it off, tell myself it was just a trucker, maybe some local staying awake. But instinct tightened my chest. We walked toward the vending machine near the lobby. The man's eyes followed us, unblinking. I slid a crumpled dollar into the machine. Nothing. Again. Nothing. "Told you this place is cursed," Mason whispered, half joking, half trembling. The front office door was locked, despite a handwritten sign that read, "Open 24 hours." I glanced at Mason, who raised his eyebrows in silent agreement. We were far from ordinary circumstances. The fog thickened, swallowing the edges of the parking lot, muting the night. Only the buzzing light above the porch, the distant hum of the road, and our breaths filled the air. Finally, I said what we both knew we should have said 10 minutes ago. "Screw this. Let's just drive around a bit." We got back in the truck, my hands tight on the wheel, eyes scanning the fog for anything unusual. And then, there she was, standing in the middle of the dirt road like she had been waiting for us all along. Gray hair hung from her head, plastered to a soaked, blood-streaked nightgown. Her hands were red, clutching a kitchen knife that reflected the headlights like a glint of death. "Jesus, what the hell?" Mason screamed. I slammed the brakes, heart hammering against my ribs. She raised her arms slowly, deliberately, and began to run toward us. I floored the gas. The truck fishtailed on the wet dirt, mud spraying in every direction. Her scream followed us, echoing in the fog, swallowed only partially by the roar of the engine. I glanced in the rearview mirror. She was still standing, watching us, knife poised, like she was both predator and guardian. The road twisted, confusingly familiar, yet impossibly different. What should have been a 2-minute drive to the highway stretched into an endless loop. Mailboxes we'd passed before reappeared. Radio static hissed in our ears. Mason tried calling 911, no signal. Gravel crunched behind us. Headlights appeared, then nothing. When we finally glimpsed the highway ramp ahead, relief hit like a wave, but it was short-lived. Stepping onto the asphalt was impossible. Out of the fog came her figure again. Same blood, same knife, same eyes locked on mine. And behind her, under the shadow of the bridge, the tall man from the motel porch stepped forward, hands loose, head tilted like an observer, detached but omnipresent. "This isn't real," I whispered. Mason's face mirrored my terror. She raised the knife. The man moved closer. I hit the gas, tearing onto the highway. Every mile away from that fog, the images still haunted my mind. The silence between the trees, the woman's scream, the man's unblinking gaze. They were seared into me. The police found nothing. Hollow Pine Motel had been closed for years. Our tire tracks were the only proof of our passage. Months later, I still wake in the middle of the night, heart pounding, replaying the image of her silent scream, the man's shadowy figure. Mason never spoke of that night. I never pressed him. Some experiences are too heavy for conversation. Driving the highway now, I never take the Hollow Pine exit. Fog still comes thicker in winter, curling over the road like smoke. And I know, somewhere in that mist, the porch light flickers, warning anyone who dares to enter. She wasn't chasing us. She was protecting us from something we couldn't see. Life is fragile, and fear is not always an enemy. It's a messenger. Respect it, or you'll learn lessons far harsher than any roadside encounter. I never expected that a job at a roadside motel diner would change my life, or nearly end it. My name is Claire Harmon. I was 21, working night shifts at Valley Creek Motel just outside Amarillo, Texas. The motel was a relic from the 1970s. Its neon sign buzzed in the humid July air like a tired warning. The air conditioning unit groaned and spat out warm air, smelling faintly of mildew and fried oil. Nights like that always felt heavy, thick with unease, even before the horror began. I had been working here for 2 months, taking over the shifts my mom had once handled before she passed. It was temporary, I told myself, just enough to cover tuition at Amarillo Community College and keep the bills at bay. But Valley Creek had a way of making temporary feel permanent. The lobby smelled like old carpet and stale coffee, with a hint of exhaust from the parking lot where trucks slept for the night. The hum of the air conditioner was almost comforting, but tonight it buzzed louder than usual, irregularly like a warning I couldn't yet decipher. I glanced out the dusty window at the empty parking lot, lit only by a flickering street lamp that barely cut through the oppressive night. Midnights were the worst, I thought, muttering the words aloud. Usually a few truckers would come by for a late coffee or a quick bite. But tonight, nothing. Just the hum of the fridge, the buzz of the neon sign outside, and the occasional creak of the motel's old siding. Then the bell jingled. I looked up to see a man in a faded gray hoodie step into the diner. He carried a duffel bag, large and heavy, but moved silently. Not tired, not hurried, just blank. My stomach twisted. There was something off about him, something in the way he lingered in the doorway. I forced a smile, trying to keep it casual. "Evening," I said. He nodded once and simply said, "Room." I typed his name into the motel's computer, an old machine that always threatened to crash. Cash only, no ID. He slid $80 across the counter in gloved hands. My skin prickled. Something about this man didn't feel right, but I had bills to pay and I needed tips and I needed the shift to end without incident. "6 is perfect," he whispered when I told him room 6 was ready. The words sent a shiver down my spine. I ignored it. At that point, I thought it was just my imagination. But Valley Creek had a habit of proving otherwise. Half an hour later, I went out back to take out the trash. The night was oppressively still, every sound magnified. That's when I noticed the door to room 6, wide open. My heart skipped a beat. The man had just checked in. Lights inside should have been on, but there was nothing. Black, deep, and unnatural. I called out softly, "Sir, your door's open." No answer, just the wind shifting the door slightly, as if the motel itself breathed around me. Then I heard it, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, dragging along a floor that shouldn't exist above room 6. I froze. There was no room above it. My instincts screamed at me to run, but my legs moved like lead. Back inside, the diner's lights flickered. At 11:45 p.m., 5 men in trucker jackets appeared silently, sitting in a booth without a word. None of them ordered, none blinked, all eyes fixed on me. Their hands, dirty with what looked like grease, maybe, but a faint streak of red caught my eye. My pulse quickened. I caught a reflection in the counter glass. The hooded man from room 6 was standing behind the door watching. My throat tightened. I tried calling the owner. Deadline. My cell? No service. The Wi-Fi blinked, then went dead. Everything felt trapped, isolated, as if Valley Creek itself had swallowed me whole. The trucker's gaze shifted to the kitchen door. My stomach lurched as a muffled scream came from inside. I pushed the door open slightly. Amy's name tag lay on the floor, smeared with something dark. The freezer door hung open, fog spilling out, and taped to the wall was a note. "Don't try to run. 6 is already open." My mind raced. Panic clawed at my chest. The hooded man appeared at the corridor's end, dragging a long surgical knife. "You weren't supposed to be alone tonight," he said softly. "But it's okay. Room 6 always takes someone." I bolted toward the back door, locked, windows, bars. My only option, upstairs, toward room 6. Each step was weighted with fear, the silence of the motel swallowing my footsteps, magnifying them tenfold. The building felt alive, aware, watching. Inside room 6, the air was icy, unnatural. Walls scratched with strange marks, the bed littered with zip ties, duct tape, a hunting knife. I slammed the door shut, locking it. Footsteps surrounded the door. Lights went out. Only the exit sign glowed faintly. I climbed onto the dresser, then into the bathroom vent, scraping my arms, lungs burning. Dropping behind the building, I ran. Finally, sirens. Someone noticed. Relief crashed over me, but it was tempered with disbelief. Valley Creek Motel had claimed so many before me, and I knew the stories weren't just rumors. The police found nothing of the hooded man or the truckers. Room 6 had zip ties, bloodstains, and even bones in the crawl space. 3 unsolved disappearances had been linked to the room in the 1990s, each person working alone at night. I moved to Dallas a month later, never returning to Valley Creek. I work in a well-lit cafe now, but every time someone walks in wearing a gray hoodie, my pulse spikes. The night still whispers. I sleep with my back to the wall, a habit I picked up out of fear and necessity. Room 6 always takes someone. I was the first to escape. But sometimes, in the quiet of my apartment, I whisper it aloud. Life is fragile. Fear is a messenger. Respect it, or you'll find yourself trapped in a place that watches, waits, and never forgets. I never planned to end up at Red Pine Motel. My life was supposed to be in Salt Lake City, unpacking boxes in my new apartment, arranging furniture, starting fresh. But life, as it often does, had other plans. My Corolla's engine had overheated somewhere along Route 26, steam curling from the radiator like some ominous warning. The Wyoming night was cold, the wind sharp against my arms, carrying the scent of wet pine and gasoline. I had no choice but to pull over near the tiny truck stop town that had a single flickering motel sign, Red Pine Motel. The sign read, "No checks. Weekly rates." Peeling paint, half-lit, humming under a buzzing yellow floodlight. The parking lot was almost empty. save for two pickup trucks parked at odd angles and a rusted vending machine that groaned quietly like it was alive. I wanted nothing more than a bed and a hot shower. The thought of lying down, letting the night pass, was comforting. But the moment I parked, something felt off. Inside the small lobby, a glass booth barely big enough for one person held a gray-haired man leaning against the counter. His flannel shirt was frayed at the cuffs, and his half-lidded eyes followed me as I approached. His name tag read, Ralph. "Hey, do you have a room tonight?" I asked, trying to mask the unease in my voice. "One last one," he said, slow, deliberate. "Room 17, around the back, cash only." He slid a brass key across the scratched counter. No paperwork, no ID check, nothing. When I turned to leave, he added casually, "Don't touch the mirror in the bathroom. It's old, comes loose." I frowned, thinking that was a strange thing to say to a guest. Room 17 sat at the end of the building under the harsh glare of a buzzing floodlight. The walls were chipped, the curtains hung unevenly, and the no smoking sign on the door was barely legible. I pushed the key into the lock and stepped inside, trying to convince myself I was just tired, imagining things, that the motel was harmless. The room smelled faintly of mildew and bleach. I tossed my duffel on the bed and moved toward the bathroom, where a large oval mirror was bolted to the wall. I pressed lightly against it. It wobbled slightly, just enough to remind me of Ralph's warning. My heart tightened. Maybe I was imagining things. Outside, a semi-truck rumbled past on the nearby highway, the sound echoing through the empty motel lot. I felt almost safe, or at least too tired to care. But at 12:32 a.m., the TV flickered to life on its own. Snowy static filled the screen. My pulse jumped. "What the hell?" I whispered, grabbing the remote and turning it off, then unplugging it. A faint click echoed from the bathroom. My head snapped toward it, like someone had adjusted something behind the mirror. My stomach dropped. I tried to relax, telling myself it was just an old building settling, but the feeling of being watched was undeniable. I hadn't even taken off my coat, and I could sense the night closing in, heavier than usual. Every small sound, the hum of the air conditioner, the wind against the window, felt amplified. Morning came reluctantly. Sunlight seeped weakly through the blinds, painting long shadows on the floor. I brushed my teeth, half asleep, and noticed the mirror was tilted lower than I remembered. I placed my hand behind it and felt something cold and metallic. My heart raced. Crouching down, I traced the lower edge of the mirror and discovered a tiny hole drilled into the wall. A camera lens. I stumbled back, nearly dropping my toothbrush. My chest heaved. Someone had been watching me, recording, and it had been set up long before I arrived. Panic hit. I bolted to the door, twisted the knob, nothing. Deadbolt didn't turn. The exit was jammed. Outside, a pickup truck idled near the office, and Ralph stood smoking, watching room 17. My phone flashed, no service. The motel Wi-Fi was locked. 3 slow knocks echoed from the bathroom wall. My mind raced. I had to escape. I crept into the bathroom and pressed my ear against the mirror. At first silence, then breathing, slow, deliberate, right behind the wall. Screaming was pointless. No one would hear me. I used my keys to pry one screw loose. The mirror shifted an inch, revealing a crawl space lined with wires and a mounted camera pointing straight at the shower. A hand reached toward the opening from the other side. I screamed and stumbled back, slamming the bathroom door. Footsteps pounded through the crawl space, moving above the ceiling and toward the front door. Grabbing the lamp, I smashed the window and crawled out barefoot, knees bleeding. Ralph shouted from the office, but I didn't stop. I limped toward the highway, waving my arms. A passing trucker slowed and let me in. Relief washed over me, but terror lingered. From the rearview mirror, I saw a face pressed against the shattered window of room 17, smiling. Police raided the motel at dawn. Behind room 17's mirror was a crawl space connected to multiple rooms, full of recording equipment, screens, and ladders to the attic. Dozens of tapes were labeled with dates and room numbers. Ralph was gone, as was the pickup truck. Some tapes contained footage of people never identified. Some ended mid-scream. I moved to Denver. Therapy helped, but I still covered every mirror and smoke detector with tape, triple-checked door locks. Yet the memory lingered. One night at 2:41 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You looked right into the camera. Beautiful." Ralph was never caught. Someone, somewhere, still remembers room 17. And I realize that some places are not just dangerous, they are patient, waiting for the right person to stumble into their trap. Life is fragile, and vigilance is a necessity. Never underestimate the quiet, unassuming corners of the world. Some mirrors don't just reflect, they observe. I had been driving for nearly 6 hours. The road ahead a blur of white and black as snow fell in heavy sheets along Route 89. I was heading to Killington Mountain, my first solo snowboarding trip since my dad died a year ago. He had always been the one to plan trips, pack the car, and keep the engine running smoothly. Without him, every mile felt heavier, lonelier. My Ford F-150 rattled as I fought to stay awake, steam curling from under the hood as the engine temperature needle spiked into red. "Come on, buddy, and hold on a little longer," I muttered, slapping the dashboard in frustration. But the truck was done. I pulled over to the shoulder, the tires crunching over the snow-covered shoulder, and sighed as the silence of the forest enveloped me. Snowflakes danced around the headlights, muffling every sound and painting the world into a white blur. No signal, no houses, nothing but endless trees and the occasional curve of the road. I popped the hood, hoping it was something minor. I didn't know much about engines beyond oil checks and battery terminals. My breath formed clouds in the freezing air, and I shivered under my jacket. Then headlights appeared in the rearview mirror. A Toyota Tacoma moving slowly. The window rolled down, and a man's face appeared, broad-shouldered, wearing a tan parka. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Truck trouble?" he asked. "Yeah, overheating. No signal out here either," I said. "Driftwood Motel's just up the road, about 2 miles. They'll let you crash for the night. Phone works there too." He stayed for a beat longer, watching me as I nodded. There was something about the way he observed me, even as he drove off, that made my stomach tighten. The taillights disappeared into the snowstorm, but the unease lingered. 15 minutes later, trudging through snow and fatigue, I saw the neon glow of Driftwood Motel. Vacancy. The paint was peeling, the single-story building half buried in snow. A yellow porch light flickered weakly, and I froze when I noticed the Toyota Tacoma parked in the corner, now motionless. Inside, the lobby smelled of damp carpet and cheap cleaning solution. Behind the counter, a tired-looking woman with messy blonde hair hunched over a radio. Her name tag read, Paula. "Hey." Truck broke down on the highway. "Guy said I could stay here?" I asked. "We're open. 40 for the night. Cash only," she said, monotone, not looking up. "I can pay card," I added. "ATM's down." "Snow knocked everything out," she replied. She slid a brass key across the counter. "Room 12, no receipt." "Don't go outside after midnight," she added. "Plows won't come till morning." I raised my eyebrows. "Weird way to say goodnight," I muttered. Room 12 was small, dim, and drafty. Snow pressed against the windows, melting and dripping onto the sill. A space heater buzzed in the corner, the only warmth in the room. The bathroom light flickered like a dying bulb, and the mirror had a vertical crack down the center. I couldn't ignore it. I set my duffel on the bed, peeling off wet gloves. My eyes flicked to the window. Through the falling snow, I could just make out the Tacoma, headlights faintly glowing. Something about the timing of its presence didn't sit right. At 2:04 a.m., I was jolted awake by the sound of crunching snow. Deliberate steps outside the window. A shadow moved between the cars, stopping directly in front of my door. Knock, knock, knock. "Who's there?" I asked. my voice barely steady. Silence. Another knock, louder. I said, "Who is it?" No answer. A metallic slide of a key into the lock made my pulse leap. I lunged forward, latching the chain. The doorknob twisted against it. "Hey, the front desk said to check if you needed help," a muffled voice said. Calm, almost casual. I didn't respond. The chain rattled. A heavy thud shook the door. Footsteps crunched away, but sleep didn't come. The Tacoma's engine started, stopped, then started again. Someone was waiting. At 3:17 a.m., the space heater clicked off. Cold seeped through the room like a living thing. I went to the bathroom to grab towels when I noticed the cracked mirror. Running my finger along the hinge-like line, I realized it tilted forward. Behind it was a crawl space, barely wide enough to crouch. Wet boot prints led from its rear straight toward room 12. My stomach turned. Someone had been inside, watching. A soft, wet exhale came from behind the mirror. I slammed it shut, heart hammering. The sound of shuffling above the ceiling made my skin crawl. I grabbed my duffel, yanked my boots on, and threw open the door. Snow whipped around me, icy and blinding. The Tacoma's engine roared. The stranger emerged, parka hood up, knife glinting. "You really should have stayed inside," he said, calm. I ran, the snow crunching under my feet, lungs burning. In the distance, red tow truck lights appeared. The driver waved. "You the one with the Ford?" the driver shouted. "Yes, drive," I gasped, sliding into the cab. The Tacoma roared behind us as we sped onto the open road. By sunrise, the sheriff found the motel abandoned. Paula was gone. The stranger disappeared. Hidden crawl tunnels behind mirrors held ropes, stolen belongings, car keys, phones. Driftwood Motel was permanently closed. The Tacoma was never found. Months later, in Boston, I still check every mirror, sleep with a bat nearby. One January night, my phone buzzed. Dashcam footage from my truck showed a Tacoma idling across the street. Headlights blinked twice, then disappeared. Some places are patient, watching, waiting, and some lessons are hard-learned. Trust your instincts, respect the quiet, and never ignore the feeling that someone, somewhere, is watching. Life is fragile, and survival requires vigilance. The desert night has a way of getting under your skin. It isn't just the cold wind or the sharp scent of sand. It's the silence, the kind that feels alive. Every gust whistles through cracks in old windows. Every rusted sign hums like someone breathing just behind your ear. I had spent 10 years in the Marines, seen horrors I can't even explain, and I can tell you, nothing prepared me for Hollow Creek Motel. It was supposed to be a routine stop. Phoenix was still hours away, and I had a PTSD group therapy session in the morning. My truck, an old Ford F-250, had other plans. 30 miles from nowhere, the engine overheated. Steam hissed from the hood, and my phone showed no signal. I coasted to the side of the road, fists clenched around the steering wheel, eyes scanning the endless dark for help. Then I saw the sign flicker in the distance. Hollow Creek Motel, 1 mile. Vacancy. The light buzzed like a dying heartbeat. The motel was a single-story strip, neon partially out, paint peeling. The desert wind made the sign sway, casting shadows across the cracked parking lot. I pulled up, ears straining, expecting the place to be abandoned. Inside, the lobby smelled like stale coffee and dust, faint static from a small radio playing a slow country song. Behind the counter stood an old man with sunken eyes and a crooked smile. His name tag read, Al. Truck broke down the road. "You got a room?" I asked. "Always got a room. People don't usually stay long, though," he replied, grinning in a way that felt too slow, too deliberate. I handed over cash. He slid a brass key across the counter. "Room 6. Don't open the bathroom door after midnight. Water runs on its own. Bad pipes," he said. "Yeah, sure," I replied with a half smile, but my gut twisted. The warm desert air outside smelled like gasoline and sand. The wind carried a faint low hum, almost whispering my name. I followed the narrow hallway to room 6. 2 lamps, a crooked canyon painting, a bathroom door that was already closed, but a thin line of light seeped out despite the switch being off. Military training made me alert. My instincts screamed caution. I shook my head. Desert motels are just creepy places. Nothing more. I laughed to myself, but the unease lingered. The first drip of water from the faucet might have been my imagination, but the way it echoed across the room made me tense. For the first time in weeks, I realized how unprepared I was for anything, real or imagined. I laid down, exhausted, the soft glow from the bathroom line brushing across the room. Sleep came easier than expected, but not for long. At 11:58 p.m., something dragged me awake. Not a sound, but a presence. The bathroom light was now fully on. The faucet ran like someone had turned it. Al said not to open it, I whispered, gripping my pocket knife, military reflexes taking over. Boots creaked as I stepped closer. From behind the door, a rasping voice whispered, "Get out." I froze. It wasn't human. It was wet, gurgling, like someone speaking through water. I pulled the door handle, locked. Something inside held it shut. "Get out!" The voice shrieked louder, more desperate. My chest tightened. I hadn't felt fear like this in years. Afghanistan had trained me for combat, for explosions, for bullets. But this was primal, raw, and unexplainable. The faucet stopped abruptly at 12:01 a.m. Silence swallowed the room. I waited 5 minutes. 10. The bathroom door remained ominously still. My nerves screamed to leave, but the truck was miles away. Logic warred with instinct. I finally yanked it open. No one. Just steam curling from the drain. But on the fogged mirror, a word had been traced in condensation. Run. The smell of rot, like something dead in the walls, made my stomach turn. My hand rested on the doorknob. Survival instincts fired. Footsteps, beneath the floor, not inside the room, echoed from a crawl space. I knelt near the nightstand, eyeing a vent panel slightly loose at the floor's edge. Unscrewing it with my knife, cold air puffed out. Darkness yawned below. A hand appeared, pale, wet, retreating back into the tunnel. My heart slammed against my chest. "Hey, who's down there?" I yelled. Silence, then a wet, gurgling laugh from the bathroom. The mirror cracked sharply without a touch, sending shards clattering. My adrenaline surged. I backed away, bag and jacket in hand, chest heaving, mind racing. Every step felt calculated, every sound amplified. The desert wind outside sounded like a chorus of whispers, mocking me. I bolted out of room 6. The motel parking lot stretched like a frozen wasteland. Neon flickered. Al was nowhere to be seen. The wind whipped against my face, sand biting through my clothes. I spotted my truck, the keys still in my pocket. As I reached it, a figure appeared in room 6's window, a man in soaked military fatigues. Face half collapsed, eyes locked on mine. He mimicked my movements, tilting his head as I did. Suddenly, bathroom lights in 3 other rooms turned on, one by one. I didn't stop to question. I ran. Sweat, blood, and snow mixed on my palms as I sprinted down the dirt road. A pickup truck finally slowed. "Jesus, man, you look like you saw a ghost," the driver said. I think I did," I gasped. I jumped in. Engine roared. The desert behind me seemed endless, but Hollow Creek Motel disappeared behind the dunes. Troopers arrived at Hollow Creek the next morning. The place was empty. Al gone. No guest records existed. But beneath room 6, they found a crawl space filled with discarded military dog tags, wet clothing, and old newspaper clippings about soldiers who vanished after returning home. The drain beneath the shower didn't lead to plumbing. It led to a sealed, dry well, an old water storage site from decades ago. Hollow Creek Motel was condemned. 3 years later, I live quietly in Tucson, Attend therapy twice a week. Nightmares have faded mostly. But sometimes, just as I drift off, I hear a wet whisper through the vent. Get out. And I know Hollow Creek Motel is still there. Waiting. Trust your instincts. Silence and emptiness are often the loudest warnings. Survival is as much about attention and respect as it is about courage. The air in Sedona hit me like a memory I didn't know I had. Autumn was just beginning. The red rocks glowed in the fading sunlight, and the long, empty highway stretched like a ribbon across the desert. I was burned out. Los Angeles had chewed me up and spat me out. 16-hour workdays, deadlines stacking like rubble, and a small apartment that smelled of stale coffee and missed opportunities. My therapist had suggested a quiet place, somewhere I could breathe again. So I searched online for a small rental, a spot where I wouldn't see another human for a week. That's how I found Oak Haven Motel, a private casita perched just outside town, with a small patio overlooking the desert brush. The photos looked unreal, cozy, clean, inviting. I booked it impulsively, craving isolation more than comfort. By the time I pulled into the lot, the neon sign hummed faintly, a yellow-green glow bouncing across the cracked asphalt. My headlights caught the office light still on. It felt almost welcoming. A man stepped out, tall, mid-40s, clean-shaven, with a calm energy that should have been reassuring. "Welcome. You made it just before sunset," he said. "Yeah, traffic was hell," I replied, tired but polite. He introduced himself as Eric, the host, and handed me a small welcome basket, fruit, bottled water, and banana bread wrapped in foil. His smile lingered a little too long, and there was a softness to his voice that felt careful, almost practiced. "You're going to love it here. Red rocks, quiet nights, safe neighborhood. I like to take care of my guests. I live just behind the office. If you need anything at all, I'm always around." I nodded, smiling politely, trying not to read too much into it. My room, Casita 7, was exactly as promised. Warm wooden beams, a single bed, a small kitchenette, and a sliding patio door that opened to desert scrub and distant red rock formations. I unpacked slowly, set up my laptop and sketchpad, and finally felt a strange calm settle over me. For the first night, everything was perfect. The first morning, Eric appeared on my patio with fresh towels and a hummingbird feeder. I brushed it off as genuine hospitality. The second day, he brought banana bread and checked the water pressure. By day 3, he was stopping by just to make sure I was comfortable, knocking softly, then slipping in even when I hadn't answered. At first, I told myself it was small-town friendliness. I'd grown up around open communities, neighbors who peeked over fences to say hi. But there was something precise, almost rehearsed in the way Eric moved around my space. Towels folded exactly, cushions fluffed perfectly, blinds adjusted to catch sunlight just right. On the 4th morning, I noticed my toothbrush had moved from the right corner of the sink to the left. The blinds, which I distinctly remembered leaving closed, were now tilted to face outward. My stomach tightened. I started photographing the room before leaving for walks, just in case. Evenings were quiet at first, the desert wind brushing against the patio. But Thursday night, after returning from a diner, I froze. The patio door, always locked, was slightly ajar. The room smelled faintly of pine and bleach, as if cleaned but too meticulously. Everything was symmetrical. The towels, the bed, the pillows. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hey Daniel, I noticed your door wasn't fully locked earlier. Don't worry, I fixed it, sleep tight." No name, just a smiley. My pulse raced. I looked out the window. Eric sat in a chair near the office porch, watching. No book, no phone, no distraction, just sitting, staring. I tried to rationalize. "He's just over-friendly," I muttered. Small-town people are like this. But that night, I wedged a chair under the patio handle. At 3:22 a.m., I woke to a soft creak. My eyes snapped open. The patio door was wide open. On the table, a single towel was folded neatly in half. My camera app showed no alerts, but the last photo taken was inside the room, a photo of me sleeping. My stomach sank, hands trembling. I dialed Airbnb support, voice shaking. "Someone's been in my room. I think it's the host. Sir, leave the property immediately and call local law enforcement," they said calmly. As I threw clothes into my bag, my phone buzzed again. A text from Eric. "Hey, sorry about the door mix-up. Just making sure you're safe." I didn't reply. I didn't lock the door. I ran. The parking lot was empty except for Eric's truck. I caught a shadow moving inside the casita. By the time I reached the main road, my hands were shaking so violently I had to pull over and vomit. The police met me at a nearby gas station. When they returned with me to collect my belongings, Eric was calm, sipping coffee on the porch. "This is all a misunderstanding. I check on all my guests," he said. Inside, everything seemed normal. Towels stacked, blinds perfectly set, no camera, no break-in. But I knew what I had seen. Airbnb refunded the stay. I checked into a hotel in Flagstaff that night. For months, I avoided traveling alone. I wedged doors, set up motion alerts, photographed every hotel room I stayed in. I even slept with a flashlight next to my bed. The red rocks of Sedona, once calming, became a reminder that beauty could easily hide intrusion. Each time I closed my eyes, I imagined Eric's soft smile, his careful movements around my room, the way he could appear at any moment. I realized that what terrifies you most isn't the supernatural. It's someone knowing your routines, your space, your vulnerability, and hiding in plain sight. A year later, curiosity got the better of me. I searched Airbnb for Oak Haven Motel. Eric's profile was still active. The latest review read, "Eric's so caring. He even checked on us at 3 a.m. to make sure we were safe. We'll return again." I closed my laptop, hands gripping the edge of the chair. No one believes you. And when that happens, the monster gets to smile in the light. Sometimes danger wears kindness like a mask. Awareness, boundaries, and trusting your instincts are the only protections when appearances can deceive. They say every small town has a place you shouldn't stay past midnight. For the people passing through I-45, that place is the Ravenhill Motel, a tired patch of concrete just beyond the Waco exit, where the buzz of a flickering sign greets you like an open wound. I used to work there, night shift, 7 days a week. When I started, I told myself it was just temporary, something to hold me over until I could get back to school. My mom had gotten sick, the bills piled up, and dropping out of community college seemed easier than watching her drown in debt. Mr. Alvarez, the manager, said I had the kind of face guests could trust. I didn't know what that meant, but I needed the paycheck more than pride. The job was simple: check people in, log the cameras, keep coffee hot. By midnight, the traffic outside died, and only the hum of the vending machine filled the silence. The first few nights I tried reading. Then I learned that the walls whispered if you stayed quiet long enough. I thought it was just me, until Mia, my coworker, mentioned Room 9. "Don't joke about ghosts," she told me once, slinging her backpack over her shoulder. "Alvarez hates that stuff, says it drives guests away." "Doesn't mean it's not real," I teased. She didn't laugh. Before she left that night, she said, "If you ever hear something under the floor, don't check it. Just turn up the radio." That was the first time I realized how strange Ravenhill really was. The motel was built in the late 60s, a long row of single rooms hugging the parking lot. The lobby had yellowed curtains, a cracked clock stuck at 10:04, and a front desk that smelled faintly of cigarettes and bleach. But there was something else, something old beneath the paint and the fake smiles. Sometimes the power flickered for a second, and the lights buzzed back with a different rhythm, like the place was breathing. And every now and then I'd catch Mr. Alvarez looking at the floor with a kind of silent calculation, like he could hear something I couldn't. But I did hear it eventually. It started one Thursday, my third month on the job. The motel was empty, except for one guest asleep in room 3. I was scrolling through my phone when I heard a thump. Faint but deliberate. Then another, followed by a slow, dragging noise. At first I thought maybe someone had dropped luggage, but the sound came from beneath the floor. Thump, drag, thump, drag. I turned off the radio. The noise didn't stop. I walked behind the desk to where the sound seemed strongest. There was a vent, low to the floor, covered with a metal grate. When I crouched down, a puff of cold air brushed my face, colder than anything the old air conditioner could make. I called Alvarez, straight to voicemail. That was the first night I felt truly alone at Ravenhill. When the noise finally stopped, I laughed at myself for being scared. "It's an old building," I muttered. "Old things make old sounds." But deep down I didn't believe it, because when I looked down at the floor again, I saw dust moving, pulsing, like something breathing under the tiles. The next night I came in early, determined to prove to myself that it was nothing. I checked the maintenance records, the plumbing charts, even asked Alvarez casually if there'd ever been renovations. He just said, "This building doesn't have a basement, Sarah. You've been watching too many movies." That should have been the end of it. But around midnight the noise returned, louder this time. I could feel it through the soles of my shoes. The dragging sounded wet, like something heavy being pulled through mud. I grabbed the flashlight from the drawer and followed the sound down the hallway. Every door I passed was dark, the do not disturb signs swinging gently as if moved by a slow draft. When I reached room 9, the sound stopped. The air outside that room always smelled strange, faintly metallic like pennies soaked in water. My hand hesitated on the doorknob. I shouldn't have opened it, but curiosity is a dangerous kind of bravery. Inside, the room looked normal enough. Bed neatly made, TV unplugged, Bible still in the drawer. But the floor was colder than any other room in the motel. I could see my breath. That's when I noticed the bathroom tiles. One near the vanity had a fine crack running through it, like something pressing from beneath. I leaned closer, and that's when I heard it. A faint sound of breathing. Not air from a vent. Breathing. I stumbled back, hit my head against the wall, and ran. When I got to the lobby, the front bell chimed. Mr. Alvarez was standing there, his shirt half buttoned, eyes tired but calm. "You shouldn't be in that room," he said quietly. I tried to speak, but the words tangled. "You said there's no basement." He smiled, a slow, sad smile that made my stomach twist. "There isn't," he said. Then he walked past me toward the laundry room. The door there was always locked, but that night, he unlocked it and went inside, carrying his own flashlight. When I checked a minute later, the door was locked again. No sound. No light. Just the faint echo of the dragging, deeper now, farther below. A week passed. The noise came and went. I tried to ignore it, but the more I pretended not to hear, the louder it grew, until one night it stopped altogether. At first, I felt relief. Then came the knock. It was 2 a.m. The lobby door creaked open, and Carlos, the night cleaner, stepped inside. His gray hair was matted, eyes sunk deep like he hadn't slept in years. He rarely spoke, but that night he said something that froze my blood. "You shouldn't go near that bathroom again," he whispered. "How do you know?" I asked. He didn't look at me. "Because they hear you when you do." Before I could ask more, he turned and walked away, disappearing into the same service door Alvarez had used. I didn't sleep that day. I couldn't. The next night, I came in with a decision. If something was under that building, I was going to find it. I waited until 3 a.m., when the cameras looped to static for their nightly reset. That's when I heard it again. A sharp metallic clang from beneath room 9. The laundry door was unlocked. Inside, behind stacks of detergent boxes, I found a small concrete stairway leading down. The smell of mold and rust hit me so hard I almost gagged. My flashlight flickered, but I went anyway. The stairs led to a corridor lined with rusted pipes and dripping water. I could hear something scraping at the end of the hall, the same slow rhythm as before. And then I saw it, a heavy steel door, bolted shut from the outside. The scraping came from behind it. I leaned close and heard a woman's voice. "Please," she whispered, "don't let him put me back in." My heart slammed against my ribs. I took a step back, and that's when a shadow appeared at the top of the stairs. Alvarez. "You really shouldn't have come down here," he said, voice calm, almost gentle. I ran. My flashlight slipped from my hand and clattered across the floor. I sprinted down a side hallway, water splashing under my shoes, pipes groaning above like the building itself was angry. Behind me, I could hear Alvarez descending, his footsteps steady, unhurried. The hall ended at a maintenance hatch. I climbed the metal ladder as fast as I could. The air grew warmer, familiar. I pushed, and the hatch gave way, cracking through the bathroom tiles of room 9. I crawled out, blood on my hands, and stumbled toward the lobby. My car keys were on the counter, but before I could reach them, someone blocked my path. Carlos. He looked terrified. "Go," he whispered, before he hears. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. His eyes watered. "Because I couldn't help the others." I didn't wait. I bolted through the door, gravel flying as I peeled out of the parking lot. In the rearview mirror, the vacancy sign flickered red and white, like a heartbeat pulsing against the dark. I drove until sunrise, until the radio static gave way to morning news. I didn't stop. When I finally went to the police, they searched Ravenhill. They said there was no basement, no steel door, no evidence of anyone trapped below. Alvarez told them I'd been under stress, maybe even sleep-deprived. He smiled as he said it. I quit that night. A month later, Ravenhill was open again, rebranded with fresh paint and a new name, Highway Haven Motel. Someone posted a review online. "Peaceful stay off the highway. Just one weird thing, the bathroom floor in room 9 is colder than the rest of the room, like air's coming from underneath." I read it twice before shutting my laptop. Sometimes my phone rings around 3:14 a.m. There's never a number, just breathing. I moved to Dallas, got a job at a diner, tried to start over. But I still wake up some nights thinking about that voice. Soft, pleading, begging not to be put back in. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe grief and exhaustion twisted my mind. But when I close my eyes, I see dust moving like breath beneath the floor. And I know some doors, once opened, never really close. Some places aren't haunted by ghosts. They're haunted by the things people choose to hide. Curiosity can uncover truth, but it can also awaken what was meant to stay buried.